Amber Chin adjusted her laptop screen, smiling as the video call connected. After 3 endless weeks of her husband's business trip to Singapore, she was desperate to see his face. It was nearly midnight in Boston, but she'd stayed up, knowing this was the only window in their schedules that aligned. "Hey, babe." James' familiar face filled her screen, his hotel room visible behind him, modern furnishings, floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing a glittering skyline. "Sorry for the late call. The meetings ran long." "I miss you," Amber said, studying his features, the 5 o'clock shadow, the loosened tie, the tired smile that still made her heart flutter after 7 years of marriage. "How's the Nakamura project going?" "We're close to signing. 2 more days of negotiations, then I'll be on the first flight home." James ran his hand through his dark hair. "How's everything there?" Amber launched into updates about their renovation project, describing the kitchen backsplash disaster that the contractor had finally fixed. James nodded, occasionally glancing at something off-screen. "Are you even listening?" she teased. "Of course, babe." The subway tiles were installed wrong. A soft thud interrupted him from somewhere in his hotel room. James' expression changed imperceptibly, so subtle that anyone else might have missed it. But Amber knew every micro-expression of her husband's face. "What was that?" she asked. "Probably housekeeping," James said too quickly. He shifted, adjusting the laptop angle to show less of the room. That's when Amber saw it, a flash of movement reflected in the window behind him. A feminine silhouette passing through the bathroom doorway, unmistakable in its curves and grace. Her mouth went dry. "James, is someone there with you?" His face remained perfectly composed, the same expression he'd worn when lying about the surprise anniversary party last year.
"What?"
"No, of course not. It's just me." The bathroom door opened wider, and for a split second, the mirror inside reflected a woman wrapping herself in a white hotel robe, long blonde hair cascading down her back. Amber's world stopped spinning. "I can see her, James." In the mirror. Her voice sounded foreign to her own ears, too calm, too controlled for the earthquake happening inside her. James' eyes widened, genuine panic flickering across his face for the first time. "Amber, I can explain." She disconnected the call with a single click, plunging her darkened living room into silence. The only sound was the hollow thud of her wedding ring as she placed it on the coffee table. 3 years earlier. To the newest partner at Foster, Richardson and Winters. Elliot Foster raised his glass, the assembled crowd of Boston's legal elite following suit. "James Chun, you've earned this through dedication, brilliance, and an unparalleled work ethic. The firm, and I personally, couldn't be prouder." Amber squeezed James' hand under the table as applause erupted around them. At 32, her husband was the youngest partner in the prestigious firm's history. She watched the light in his eyes, the barely contained excitement as he stood to give his acceptance speech. "I couldn't have done this without my rock, my everything, Amber." James looked down at her, his eyes sincere. The late nights, the missed anniversaries, the postponed vacations, she never once complained. "She believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Amber blinked back tears. The sacrifices had been real, but so was the pride she felt watching him achieve his dreams. The son of immigrants who'd worked in a laundromat to put him through college, James had defied every expectation. And she'd been there every step of the way, putting her own architecture career on a slower track to support his meteoric rise. Later that night, as they slow danced in their living room, shoes kicked off, James whispered against her hair, "It'll be different now, I promise. More time together. Maybe even start that family we've been talking about." "You sure?" Amber looked up at him, searching his face. "Partner means more responsibility, not less." "I'm sure." He kissed her forehead. "Everything I've done for us. For our future." She believed him. She always did. 2 years earlier. Singapore. Amber set down her coffee mug, staring at James across their Sunday breakfast table. "For how long?" "Just 3 months," James said, scrolling through emails on his phone. "It's huge, Amber. The Nakamura Group's expansion into North America, They specifically requested me as lead counsel. 3 months. She pushed her half-eaten avocado toast away. That's a long time. James finally looked up. You could come with me. Take a sabbatical. I can't just leave the Cambridge project. We're in the middle of the environmental impact assessments. Amber sighed. And what about the fertility treatments? We're supposed to start next cycle. A flicker of something relief crossed James' face before he masked it with concern. We can postpone. 3 months won't make a difference. But it would. They both knew it. At 35, with her history of endometriosis, every month mattered. This is a once-in-a-career opportunity, James continued, reaching for her hand. Elliot says it could position me for managing partner in 5 years. Amber swallowed her disappointment. Then you have to go. James' smile bloomed. I knew you'd understand. You always do. That night, as James slept soundly beside her, Amber stared at the ceiling, wondering when his dreams had become more important than theirs. 1 year earlier. James Chen's office, Amber said into her phone, balancing grocery bags as she fumbled with the house keys. Oh, a woman's voice, surprised. I'm sorry, I was trying to reach James. This is his personal cell. I'm his wife. Amber wedged the phone between her ear and shoulder, finally getting the door open. He's in court today. Can I take a message? A pause. No, that's okay. I'll call back later. May I ask who's calling? Another pause. This is Sophia, from the Singapore office. Something in her tone, hesitant, intimate, raised the hairs on Amber's neck. Are you working on the Nakamura project with him? Yes, Sophia said quickly. Just some contract details to discuss. It's not urgent. I'll let him know you called, Sophia. Please don't trouble yourself. I'll catch him tomorrow. After hanging up, Amber stood in their kitchen, a strange unease settling over her. That night, she mentioned the call casually. James didn't look up from his laptop. Sophia Larson. She's our liaison with the Singapore team. Smart woman. Great attorney. She sounded familiar with you. James finally looked up, his expression puzzled. We've worked together for a year. Of course she's familiar. Amber nodded, hating the small seed of doubt taking root. This wasn't who they were. They trusted each other implicitly. They always had. Hadn't they? 6 months earlier. You're never home anymore, Amber said, watching James pack for his 5th Singapore trip that year. When you are home, you're distracted. Present in body, but not in mind. James sighed, folding a dress shirt with meticulous precision. This merger is the biggest thing to hit the firm in decades. Once it's done, there will be something else, Amber finished. There's always something else. What do you want me to do, Amber? Turn down the managing partner track? We've worked too hard to get here. We. She laughed bitterly. I've barely seen you in months. The fertility treatments I've been doing alone. Our anniversary dinner? I ate with your empty chair. James stopped packing, his shoulders slumping. I'm sorry. I know it's been tough. He crossed the room, taking her hands. Just a little longer. I promise. You've been saying that for 2 years. This time I mean it. He touched her cheek gently. The Singapore trips are almost done. Then I'll cut back hours. We'll focus on us. On starting our family. Amber searched his eyes, wanting desperately to believe him. Promise. I promise. He kissed her softly. You're everything to me. As she drove him to the airport the next morning, Amber noticed a text notification flash on his phone in the cup holder. Can't wait to see you. Missing you badly. S. James saw her notice, casually flipping the phone screen down. Elliot's assistant, he explained. She's coordinating my arrival details. Amber nodded, the seed of doubt growing roots, spreading tendrils through her heart. Present day. Amber sat in the darkened living room, her wedding ring gleaming accusingly on the coffee table. James had been calling nonstop for an hour before giving up. 27 missed calls. 17 text messages. The latest. Please let me explain. It's not what you think. But it was exactly what she thought. The evidence had been there all along. She'd just refused to see it. She reached for her laptop, opening her browser history. For 3 years, she'd blindly trusted, ignored her instincts, made excuses for his absence. Not anymore. She typed Sophia Larson, Singapore attorney, into the search bar. The results loaded. Sophia Larson, senior counsel, Foster Richardson and Winters, Singapore office. The professional headshot showed a striking blonde with confident blue eyes and a polished smile. The same blonde reflected in James' hotel room mirror. Amber clicked through to the firm's website, finding the press release from 2 years ago. Foster Richardson and Winters welcomes Sophia Larson to Singapore team. In the accompanying photo, James stood beside Sophia at a reception, both smiling professionally, maintaining appropriate distance. But Amber saw it now, the slight angle of his body toward hers, the attentiveness in his posture that she dismissed as professional courtesy. Their affair had been happening right before her eyes. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown international number. "Amber, this is Elliot Foster. James asked me to reach out. He's devastated. Whatever you saw, I'm sure there's an explanation. He loves you. Please talk to him." Even James' mentor was involved in the cover-up. How many people knew? How many had pitted her while she remained oblivious? Amber closed her laptop, a strange calm settling over her. The initial shock had given way to something colder, more focused. She wouldn't scream or fall apart. She wouldn't give James, or his betrayal, that power. Instead, she would be strategic. She opened her phone and called the one person she knew would understand. "Liv, it's me. I need your help." Olivia Jackson had been Amber's best friend since college, a divorce attorney known for her ruthless efficiency and unwavering loyalty. "The bastard," Liv said, setting down her wine glass. They sat in Liv's sleek downtown apartment, city lights twinkling beyond floor-to-ceiling windows. "I never trusted his perfect husband routine." "I did," Amber said quietly. "Completely." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." Amber twisted her empty ring finger. "He's still texting, calling. Says it's a misunderstanding." Liv arched an eyebrow. A naked woman in his hotel room is hardly ambiguous. "She was in a robe," Amber corrected, then laughed hollowly. "Listen to me, still making excuses for him." "Stop that." Liv leaned forward. "You didn't do anything wrong. He betrayed you, systematically, repeatedly, with premeditation." Amber's phone buzzed again, James' face lighting up the screen. She turned it over. "He lands tomorrow night," she said. "Says he's coming straight home, so we can talk." "And what do you want?" Amber stared out at the Boston skyline, the same view James had always coveted for their someday penthouse. "I want the truth. All of it. No more lies." "And then?" "I don't know." Tears finally spilled over. "How do you walk away from 7 years? From the future we planned?" Liv took her hand. "The future he destroyed, you mean? The real question is, how do you stay with someone who could lie to your face for years?" "I can't just make a decision like this overnight." "You don't have to." Liv squeezed her hand. "But you do need to protect yourself. Legally and financially." Amber nodded slowly. "What do I do?" "First, we document everything. The video call, the texts, the travel records." Liv switched to her professional tone. "Then, we look at your finances. Joint accounts, investments, the house." "He's a lawyer, Liv. He knows how to hide things. And I'm a better lawyer." Liv's smile was razor-sharp. "Trust me." The next morning, armed with Liv's advice, Amber drove to their bank. As she suspected, James had been moving money, small amounts over time, nothing that would trigger alerts. A separate account she'd never known about, growing steadily for over 2 years. Building an escape fund. Or a new life with Sophia. She documented everything without touching the accounts. James wouldn't know she knew, not yet. Her next stop was their home office. James' meticulous organization worked against him now. His filing system revealed credit card statements showing hotel charges in Boston on weekends he'd claimed to be working late, restaurant receipts for 2 in neighborhoods they never visited together. By afternoon, she had compiled enough evidence to convince even herself, the woman who had spent years making excuses for him. The betrayal wasn't a momentary weakness. It was a parallel life he'd been cultivating while she waited patiently at home. Her phone rang. Liv. "I found something," her friend said without preamble. Sophia Larson isn't just his colleague. She's been assigned to relocate permanently to Boston next month. They've already leased her an apartment 3 blocks from your office. Amber's knees buckled. She sank onto the office chair. He was bringing her here? To our city. The lease was co-signed. Guess by whom? The room seemed to tilt. James, Elliot Foster. The final betrayal. The father figure who'd mentored them both, who'd given toasts at their wedding, was facilitating James' affair. "The firm is protecting him," Amber whispered. "They all know." "It gets worse." Liv paused. "The apartment has 3 bedrooms." The implication hung in the air. A family home. While Amber had been undergoing fertility treatments alone, James and Sophia had been planning a life together, possibly with the family he'd promised Amber. Something shifted inside her then, the last remnant of the trusting woman she'd been crumbling away, replaced by clear-eyed resolve. "Liv," she said calmly, "I need you to draft the divorce papers. Have them ready for tomorrow." "Are you sure? You said you wanted to hear his explanation." "I've seen enough evidence." Amber stood, strength flowing back into her limbs. "But yes, I still want to hear him lie to my face one more time. Foreclosure." After hanging up, Amber walked through their home, the space they'd lovingly renovated together, dreaming of the family that would fill it. Every corner held memories now tainted by deception. In their bedroom, she opened James' closet, running her fingers along the suits he wore like armor. Behind them, she found what she was looking for, a small safe where he kept their important documents. The combination was her birthday. At least he hadn't changed that. Inside were their passports, birth certificates, and her breath caught a small velvet box she'd never seen before. She opened it with trembling fingers. A platinum pendant gleamed against black velvet, an intricate, custom-designed lotus flower. Their anniversary was next week. This would have been her gift, a beautiful piece offering to buy her continued ignorance. She snapped the box shut, replacing it exactly as she'd found it. Then she began to plan. James' key turned in the lock at precisely 8:17 p.m. the following evening. Amber sat at their dining table, a single glass of whiskey, his favorite Macallan 18, in front of the empty chair across from her. The house was dimly lit, soft music playing as though this were any normal homecoming. He entered cautiously, setting down his suitcase in the foyer. "Amber?" "In here," she called, her voice steady. He appeared in the doorway, his expression a careful mask of contrition and concern. He'd clearly rehearsed this moment during the 22-hour flight home. "Thank you for being here," he said softly. "For giving me a chance to explain." Amber gestured to the chair. "Drink." James hesitated, then sat, reaching for the whiskey. "Amber, what you saw." "Was Sophia Larson in your hotel room?" she finished for him. "In a bathrobe." He took a long swallow of whiskey. "Yes. But it's not what you think." "Enlighten me." Amber folded her hands on the table, the picture of composure. "She's a colleague. We were working late on the contract revisions. Her room was being repaired, water damage from the room above. The hotel was fully booked because of a conference. She needed to shower and change before an early meeting." The explanation flowed smoothly, practiced. "Very gallant of you." It was professional courtesy. James leaned forward earnestly. "Nothing happened. I would never betray you like that." Amber studied him. The man she'd loved for a decade, now a stranger performing a role. "That's your explanation? A colleague with convenient plumbing problems." "It's the truth." His eyes held hers steadily. "I love you, Amber. Only you." "I believe that you believe that," she said softly. Confusion flickered across his face. "What does that mean?" Amber reached beside her chair, producing a thick manila folder. She opened it, removing photographs one by one, placing them on the table between them. "You and Sophia at the Regent Hotel in Boston. February 17th last year. You told me you were at a conference in Chicago." The first photo showed them entering the hotel, his hand on the small of her back. You and Sophia at Mistral. Our anniversary last year. You said you had food poisoning and couldn't make dinner. Another photo. Them sharing tiramisu, laughing intimately. You and Sophia at Logan Airport, departing for your solo hiking trip in Colorado. The image showed them at the check-in counter, casual in matching North Face jackets. James' face drained of color. How did you? The receipts were in your filing cabinet. Amber's voice remained conversational. The credit card statements showed hotels, restaurants, flights. You've been sloppy, James. Or maybe just arrogant. Amber, I can explain. You just did explain. You lied. She placed the final document on the table, the lease agreement for the 3-bedroom apartment, his signature beside Elliot's. Were you planning to leave me, or keep us both? James stared at the paper, then closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, the pretense was gone. I never meant for this to happen, he said quietly. Few people plan to become liars and cheaters, Amber agreed. They just make one small choice after another. I do love you. And Sophia? Amber kept her voice level. Do you love her too? James looked away. It's complicated. No, it's actually very simple. Amber pushed the manila folder toward him. You betrayed everything we built together. You lied to my face for years while I waited patiently, believing in you, supporting you. I know. His shoulders slumped. I got lost somewhere along the way. The Singapore assignment, the pressure from Elliot to build international connections. Sophia was there. She understood the demands of the job in a way that... He stopped himself. In a way that I couldn't. Amber finished. Because I was home, waiting for you to fulfill your promises? Planning our family while you were planning a different one. There's no excuse. James reached for her hand, but she pulled away. But we can fix this. Couples therapy, a fresh start. I'll end things with Sophia, request a transfer back to domestic clients only. Would you have ended it if I hadn't caught you? Amber asked. His hesitation was answer enough. The apartment lease is dated for next month, she continued. 3 bedrooms, James. Were you hoping for a boy or a girl? Pain flashed across his face. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Help me understand. James ran a hand through his hair, disheveled from travel and stress. Sophia got pregnant. Last year. She lost the baby at 12 weeks. The words hit Amber like physical blows. While she'd been undergoing painful fertility treatments, hoping to give James the family he claimed to want, he'd been starting that family with another woman. When, she whispered. March. When he'd suddenly become attentive again, bringing her flowers for no reason, suggesting weekend getaways. His guilt manifesting as affection, not for her, but for the child he'd lost with someone else. Get out. The words were soft but absolute. Amber, please. Get out. She stood abruptly, sending her chair crashing backward. I have given you everything. My trust. My time. My dreams. While you were giving her a child. James flinched to her raised voice. It wasn't planned. Neither was this. Amber slid a document across the table, divorce papers, prepared by Liv. Your betrayal extends beyond the affair, James. You've been moving money, preparing your exit strategy, while stringing me along. He glanced at the papers, then back at her. You're not thinking clearly. We need time. I've given you 7 years. Amber's voice broke for the first time. I won't give you another minute. James stood slowly. Where am I supposed to go? Perhaps Sophia's hotel? Or Elliot's guest room? I'm sure your enablers will accommodate you. She gestured toward the door. Your suitcase is still packed. He hesitated, a flash of the man she'd loved surfacing briefly. I never wanted to hurt you. Yet you chose to, every day for years. Amber straightened her shoulders. I'll have the locks changed tomorrow. You can arrange with Liv to collect your things. James moved toward the foyer, then turned back. Is there really no way to fix this? Amber looked at him. Really looked at the man she'd built her life around. The man I married wouldn't have asked that question. He would have known that trust, once shattered, can never be fully restored. People make mistakes, Amber. An affair isn't a mistake. It's thousands of deliberate choices, thousands of opportunities to turn back. She met his eyes steadily. Go be with Sophia. I hope you'll be honest with her in ways you never were with me. As the front door closed behind him, Amber finally allowed herself to collapse, sobs racking her body as she mourned not just the end of her marriage, but the death of the future she'd believed in so completely. 6 months later, the Stockholm cafe bustled with morning activity, sunlight streaming through large windows onto wooden tables filled with locals and tourists alike. Amber stirred her coffee, reviewing blueprints spread before her. These modifications look perfect, said Henrik, her client and the director of the sustainable housing project that had brought her to Sweden 3 months ago. The community garden integration is exactly what we envisioned. I'm glad you approve. Amber smiled, feeling genuine professional satisfaction for the first time in years. The solar panel layout still needs some refinement, but we're close. Her phone buzzed with a text from Liv. Judge signed off on final settlement today. It's officially over. Bastard didn't get a penny more than he deserved. Celebrate tonight. A wave of relief washed over her. The divorce had been contentious despite the evidence of James' infidelity. He'd fought for a larger share of their assets, claiming his career had been the primary financial contributor. Elliot had supported him, leveraging firm resources against her. But Liv had been brilliant, exposing not just the affair but the firm's complicity in facilitating it. When the judge learned that client funds had been used to wine and dine Sophia during business trips, the case swiftly turned in Amber's favor. Good news? Henrik asked, noticing her expression. The best, Amber replied. A fresh start, officially documented. After finishing their meeting, Amber wandered along Stockholm's waterfront, reflecting on the path that had led her here. The job offer had come 3 weeks after James moved out, a prestigious international sustainable housing project seeking an architect with her exact specialization. At first, she'd hesitated, unwilling to let James' betrayal drive her from her home. Then she realized Boston had been his dream, not hers. The colonial house in Cambridge, the social circles tied to his firm, the future mapped according to his career trajectory, none of it had truly belonged to her. Her phone rang, an international number she didn't recognize. Hello? Amber? It's Elliot Foster. Her breath caught. What do you want, Elliot? To apologize. His voice sounded older, wearier than she remembered. What we did, what I facilitated, was unforgivable. Amber found a bench overlooking the water, sitting down slowly. Why now? James resigned from the firm last week. He and Sophia are relocating to San Francisco. That's not my concern anymore. I know. Elliot sighed heavily. The thing is, he was never the legal mind behind our international expansion. You and I both know that. Amber waited, sensing there was more. It was you, Amber. Every time he hit a roadblock, every innovative solution that impressed Nakamura, those late-night breakthroughs he claimed, he was on the phone with you. She closed her eyes against the surge of anger. So you knew, all along. Yes. Elliot's admission hung between them. The firm needs someone with your analytical skills. I'm offering you a consulting position, remote work, your choice of projects, twice what we paid James. Amber laughed bitterly. You think you can buy your redemption? No. But I can acknowledge your worth, something I failed to do when it mattered. My worth isn't determined by your recognition, Elliot. Amber watched a ferry cross the harbor, carrying people toward new destinations. Or by James' betrayal. Will you at least consider it? The offer stands indefinitely. After hanging up, Amber sat for a long time, watching the sun sparkle on Stockholm's waters. 6 months ago, she might have seen Elliot's offer as vindication, proof that she had been valuable all along. Now she recognized it for what it was, another attempt to define her by her relationship to men who had betrayed her trust. Her phone buzzed with an email from her fertility specialist in Boston, the last loose end from her old life. After leaving James, she'd decided to continue the treatments on her own. The family she'd dreamed of didn't require his participation. The subject line read, Donor match found. Amber's breath caught. She'd been on the waiting list for 3 months, seeking specific genetic characteristics, not to recreate James, but to give her future child the best possible start. She opened the email, scanning quickly. Donor 9876 meets all your criteria. Harvard-educated architect specializing in sustainable design, Swedish/Chinese heritage, excellent health history. For the first time in months, tears filled her eyes, not of grief or betrayal, but of possibility. The future stretching before her wasn't a consolation prize or a backup plan. It was entirely her own creation. That evening, Amber video called Liv from her apartment balcony overlooking Stockholm's Old Town. To freedom, Liv toasted, raising her wine glass in Boston while Amber lifted her own in Sweden. And to truth, Amber added. However painful. Have you heard about James and Sophia? Liv asked cautiously. Elliot called. They're moving to San Francisco. Together? Amber shrugged. I don't actually care. Liv studied her through the screen. You mean that, don't you? Completely. Amber leaned back in her chair, watching stars appear above the city's spires. I spent years building my life around James' needs, his dreams, his schedule. I don't waste energy on him anymore. And the big decision? Liv asked. Have you decided? Amber smiled, touching her still flat stomach. I have. The procedure is scheduled for next week. A baby, Liv whispered. You're really doing this? On my terms, in my time. Amber looked out at her new city, the place she'd chosen for herself and her future child. I'm no longer waiting for someone else to fulfill their promises to me. He'll find out eventually, probably. But my child won't be defined by his absence, just as I'm no longer defined by his betrayal. Amber watched a young family walk along the waterfront below, their child's laughter floating upward. James thought he was the architect of our life together, but he was wrong. I'm building something stronger now, with a foundation of complete truth. As night settled over Stockholm, Amber closed her laptop, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders. On her coffee table lay the blueprints for her next project, a community of sustainable homes for single parents, each designed to maximize independence while creating bonds of mutual support. Beside them sat the ultrasound schedule from her fertility clinic and a list of potential baby names, a different kind of blueprint for the future she was choosing. She picked up her phone, finding the message thread with James that she'd never deleted. His last text, sent 3 months ago. I still love you. I always will. Amber typed a response, not in anger or bitterness, but as a final closing of that chapter. I've found happiness in truth. I hope someday you do too. Then she deleted the thread, his number, and the last remnant of the life they'd shared. Tomorrow would bring new blueprints, new possibilities, new truths to build upon, each one entirely her own.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.